Hi, kids.
So we have some questions to ask you about how you run the town. So we have certain kids that have certain questions. They're gonna come stand right here. If you're asking a question, you're gonna come right here to this microphone and talk to them, okay? Nice and loud.
What is your favorite part of your job?
Start off? Yeah. So his question is, what's the favorite part of our job? I'll be very honest with you, this is being pretty cool right now. So I'm gonna put this at the very top of the list. We get to talk to a lot of people, listen to their concerns, listen to what they have to say, and our job is to figure out what's the best way forward, not just for them, but for the town. So to me, that's what I love about this job.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of the job is seeing a process all the way through. So, in seeing the results of hard work. So, for example, we wanted to clean up Long Pond, and it was really cool the day I got to go down there. And after months of working on it, we got to see a machine go out there and start cleaning the pond, and that was really cool.
So, Selectman Lopes kind of nailed it. I love this, and the Selectmen for the Night are two of my favorite things that I get to do throughout the year. And I love seeing things happen that put a smile on people's faces, because unfortunately it doesn't always put a smile on people's faces. So when we can make a decision that makes people happy, that makes me happy.
Thank you. Great question.
All right, who's next?
Is your job fun for you?
Well, his question is the job fun? It can be. But some days it can be very tough, because we have to make some tough decisions that can affect your families, can affect the way the town operates. So there are days most days are fun. We get to do things like this, but other days there's some tough decisions that take a lot of thought to make sure that we're doing the right thing for the right reasons. So some days can be a little frustrating, but other days, again, like today, it makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe fun's not the word, but it's definitely interesting and it's rewarding, and that brings joy. So just like fun does.
Yes, I will agree. I really do think this job is fun, as crazy as that sounds. I do. I find it rewarding. I like to see the town get better and better, and I feel like the three of us have done that. So I will continue to try and help the town as much as I can.
Thank you. Okay, good.
So what do I do? What do I do?
Congratulate yourself for a great question. Hold on, so let's hear this question. What's your question?
Is the town going to support the ongoing weed removal at Long Pond?
I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to continue. I'm not sure the schedule right now of when that's going to come back. The question was, is the town going to support the ongoing weed removal from Long Pond? And yes, absolutely. We're working with a bunch of different organizations to try to continue that work. So absolutely.
So yes, they actually already started.
Did they? Yeah.
Yeah. So the Selectman Matthews point is something that it has to happen. So we are working. We will continue to work on making sure that it happens.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
What does a selectman do for our town?
Ooh, tough question. What does the selectmen do for our town? Well, where to start? We go to meetings, one, and in those meetings we talk about things like taxes. I know, that wonderful word. We also decide things like the fireworks and the parade. We decide things, fire trucks and police cars. We decide what kind of paint the school has and the new roof, and there's a lot of decisions to be made. Maybe you like the playgrounds or the roads you walk and drive on. Maybe, hopefully you're not driving yet, but you're a passenger in one. So we do a lot of things for the town that make sure the town continues moving forward, so that when you grow up and you're in another school or you become a parent or adult, that your town looks the same as it does today, but with all the differences that make us call it home. That make sense? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I would say, at the end of the day, we're the bosses of the town. That's what it comes down to. And, we have to deal with all the decisions to try to make it the best place to live for everyone here.
And I will say that not make decisions just for today, but also for the future, right? So we look at things and say, how can we make it better for when you're an adult? That makes you want to stay in Freetown. So that's not always the easiest thing to do, but we do our best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What are the qualifications to become a selectman?
I could take that. There's actually no qualifications except that you live in Freetown and are a registered voter. I think that's about it. So it's an elected position. So as long as you can get enough people to vote for you, there's no actual, qualifications for the job, which is interesting. Just like the President of the United States. There's no qualifications. As long as you run and enough people vote for you, then you can become selected.
But one of the key ingredients, though, is make sure you love your town. So if you love your town, it takes a lot of time and work to get to be in that position. So passion, right, things you learn about here at school, and commitment to not just your school, but your town is a very big part of it. So if you want to make change, and then like Trevor Matthews says, then you have to make sure you're registered and you live here in town, and then put your name out there and tell the people why you deserve to be a selectman. If they like the answer, they'll vote for you. Mm-hmm. Easy, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else? No. Thank you.
Will you put lights at the intersection near the town hall?
So she asked, will we put lights near the intersection at the town hall? And unfortunately, it's not as easy as us going and saying, we're gonna put lights there. That's a state road, they have to decide. So there has been studies that have started to hopefully figure out what we can do. There's been some talk of a roundabout, there was talks of four-way stops, but four-way stops don't really work, so the study already started, I believe, on it. So we'll know more in the near future, but I don't know that the traffic light will go there because there's a lot of people in town that don't want traffic lights.
Yeah. It will get better,
Yes.
but we don't know exactly what it will look like yet.
If you have suggestions of what do you think should be done, please let your teacher know, and then she'll pass it on to us, okay? Who knows? Maybe you have the ideas, we just don't know about it yet. All right?
Good
Thank
question.
you.
How do you raise money for the town and how do you decide where it should go?
That's a good
Yes. So we raise money through taxes. So everyone pays taxes, if you own a home or through sales tax, other kinds of taxes, and then we decide how to spend it based on we put together a budget, right? And we then disperse that money as it's needed, right? And then the town people, we meet and everyone actually votes how we spend that money. So it's a communal thing.
Yes, and it's also a committee called the Finance Committee that gets involved with it as well. So they help decide as to how much money should be spent in each thing. But to Selectman Matthews' point, it then goes to town meeting where people go in and they vote and they decide that whether or not they want to spend that money and how they want to spend it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Expand our lives.
Yeah. So the question was, can we expand our library? This is something we're working on. So we actually have a subcommittee right now that is trying to design a new building that includes a library. So hopefully, this goes back to spending money. So if we can get the town to vote to spend the money, then yes, we'll be building a nice new library in the next few years. Thank you.
Great question.
Has there ever been a woman selectman?
The question was, has there ever been a woman selectman? And absolutely, yes. There's been a few women selectmen I can just think of right now. Absolutely.
And they've been around for a long time.
Yep.
So, man, woman, it doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. You can do anything you want when you grow up. Anything. And someday, I guarantee you, we'll have a woman president. So, keep voting, okay?
Thank you.
As selectman, can you look into holding events such as a comedy show at the bandstand?
So the question was, as a selectman, can you look into holding events like a comedy show at the bandstand?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, anything's possible. We would have to figure out who to get there, but there is currently events that are held at the bandstand. And if that's something that people were looking for, then we can try and find out a way of, maybe some people who would want to go there and make you all laugh. So we can definitely look into it.
Yeah, so usually the way it would work is that someone who wants to put on a comedy show, they'd come to us and say, hey, can we hold it at the bandstand? And then we would, vote on that and say yes or no. And I'm pretty sure we'd say yes to a comedy show at the bandstand.
Absolutely. Are you a comedic? Is that what you're asking? You got any jokes? Okay, just checking. Just want to make sure that could be your debut right here.
Thank you.
What is your biggest challenge?
Oh.
Yeah, the question was, what's our biggest challenge?
Selectman Lopes? Biggest challenge. Every time you make a decision, anything we do, whether we're playing sports, school, being a selectman, you always have that feeling in your stomach whether or not you're doing the right thing. Is it right or wrong? Is it right just for today? Is it right for tomorrow? Is it right altogether or not right at all? So my biggest challenge is always find that balance to make sure what we're doing is right, is right for the future, to make sure our town continues to grow, we continue to call it home. So that's my biggest challenge is I always look at it in the middle of the road. Is it right? Is it wrong? Maybe. What's the middle of it? What can I go both sides and say, hey, can both sides agree to that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'll add to that, and I agree. I think the biggest challenge is when you make a decision, there's going to be some people who are happy and some people who are upset, right? And how do you? It's challenging to figure out how do you make the best possible decision for the most people, that you can go to bed and feel like you made the right decision.
I mean, I really don't have much more to add to it because I don't want to copy what they said. So I do agree with exactly what they're saying. Making decisions that make the most amount of people happy. It's very challenging, right? And you can have one person out of 10 who doesn't agree, and you feel bad making them upset. So personally, I find that hard to deal with, but it's something we have to deal with what we do.
Thank you.
Great question.
How do you think the new train station will help Freetown?
Yeah, the question was, how do you think the new train station is going to help Freetown?
Well, that's a tough one. Like we just talked about, some people like the fact we're getting a train station. Others may not like the fact we're getting a train station. But, well, again, we have to look at both sides. So let's look at the good things about the train. Can you get to a baseball game like Fenway faster? You sure can. Maybe Foxborough? Yep. Can you get to work if you live here in town and you have another job somewhere else? Can you get there faster, cheaper, and better for the environment? Yes. Now let's look at the other side. Will it be a little bit more noisy? A little bit, right? Maybe those horns at night. Will there be more traffic because of the train stops? Maybe. But you have to outweigh both sides. Somewhere in the middle, there's a right in there. And you have to always find that middle ground. So will it be challenging for us? Sure. So it's our first time having a train station. So as we learn to grow with it, by the time you're our age, it'll already be in town for many years. So I'll be interested to see when you're a little older what your opinion is on that same question in about 10 years. All right?
I think one of our hardest decisions is how do we keep the town small with something that comes in that wants to create more population. More people want to move into a town because of what Selectman Wolf said, that they'll be able to get to Boston easier so that it'll make Freetown more inviting, which we like. We want people to live in Freetown. We just want to make sure that we make it still feel like the Freetown that you know and love today. So that's going to be a challenge for all of us, not just the three of us, for a lot of people.
Thank you.
What are some of the hardest things you decide?
So the question is, what are some of the hardest things that we decide? What are some of the hardest things that we decide? So there's lots of them. Let me think of a good example. A lot of it comes down to, sometimes we'll have multiple people who want to get involved on a committee, and we have to, everyone can't be on that committee. So we have to choose certain people and not choose the other people. And we don't want to hurt those other people's feelings, so that's kind of a hard decision for us to make, but a decision we have to make.
I agree with Trevor Matthews. Selectman Matthews.
Both of you correct.
Yeah. When it comes to being a selectman, a lot of people come to you with a lot of things, and you have to really find that right balance to make sure you're giving back as much as you're getting, right? So he mentions committees. We have everything from a finance committee to building committees to boards that do different things. So you have to find the right people that are in it for the right reasons so that those committees can grow and give the town exactly what they're looking for, right? For instance, the library, someone said the library. I'm on the library building committee with the Council of Aging. My goal is to make sure if we get a library, the town decides for a library, we want to make sure that it's the library that people want, not what I want. I have one vote just like your parents or your grandparents. So that's a challenging thing to do, right? But having the right reasons goes a long way.
Yeah, I think sometimes we live in a small town, so there's a lot of people who come in front of us that we know, and having to tell someone who you know for a long time something that's an unpopular decision to them is not easy. And it's happened. I guarantee it's happened to all of us, right? We become friends with people, or we were already friends with people before this, and that makes it that much more difficult because you're adding human element to it. So yeah, that's the
Any questions? Thank you.
Besides being a selectman, do you have another job? If so, what is it?
Yeah, the question is, besides being a selectman, do we have another job? I'll let Selectman Loeb start.
So, believe it or not, being a selectman is our nighttime job, right? Although we're selected throughout the day, we do have jobs during the day. So for myself, I work for the Department of Defense down at the Navy Yard, and I work with contracts and money. So lots of money that I don't get to use it for myself, but we build things like ships and submarines and making sure that veterans and soldiers have everything they need to make sure that they can protect our country.
Yep. So I'm what's called a consultant, and I help companies install software on their computer systems that help them run more efficiently. So I work for companies all over the world doing that.
I work for a company out in New Hampshire, and we have stores all over the place. And my job is, because of my experience, to go in and help these stores grow. So I go into the stores, to the supermarkets and stuff, and I tell them how to change things and do things to make it better. So that when your family goes in to buy things, they want to buy more. That's basically what it is.
So his job sounds cooler because if you see the candy aisle, as soon as you walk in, he made that decision to keep the candy aisle at the beginning of the store. So say thank you to the selectmen. All right. So,
Thank you.
So it's a very important part.
Thank you.
Ice cream.
how many people attend town meeting? How can we increase these numbers for better ideas and better solutions for Freetown?
Good question. So, yeah,
You're right. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So his question was, during town meeting, how many people attend and how can we increase those numbers? So what we currently have is not enough. It's enough to have the meeting, but I would say we probably have 150, 200 people roughly
Give or take.
Yep.
that show up. With a town of just under 10,000 people, it's not nearly enough, right? So we try things. We try to communicate through our meetings. We try to communicate through mailers that we send out to people to let them know when there's a lot of big decisions that are made at town meeting. So we really try to communicate it, but to give all the awareness that we can to the voters, but we have to get those people to want to show up. It's been a struggle, and it will continue to be a struggle.
Yep. Yeah, and we put it on social media. We do that. So, we'll have signs in town that say when town meeting is. But yeah, I agree. So, we have like almost 10,000 people and only 150 of the 6,000 registered voters show up. We need to do a better job of getting people engaged to show up because those are very important. And everyone should tell their parents they should go to town meeting.
I was just about to say that. Make sure you tell everybody you know that's an adult that lives in Freetown to get out there on June 5th to come out and vote and be with their townspeople, your neighbors, your community to vote. Because like both selectmen have said, we've tried everything from sending out the mail, our new police station, we've updated all the software and the video cameras. You heard of this thing called Zoom? Yeah, so we've tried that a little bit. So microphones, cameras, we're trying everything we can to get everybody out as much as possible. So you know what? It starts with you guys. Tell your folks, hey, come on out, June 5th. All right?
Great. Yeah, the question was, what inspired us to become selectmen? So, you want to start off first?
Well, actually, you guys inspired me to become a selectman. You look around, look left and right, behind, front. You guys inspired me to become a selectman. for many years, boys and girls, we're still up here. So for many years, we've been coming to Freetown Elementary School, and a lot of you and a lot of your parents asked, hey, can you speak on behalf of us? Right, to work alongside the two selectmen we have here today. And I said, at first I said no, I don't have time for that kind of thing. But after more and more questions came up, more and more, please, 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 I decided it was a good idea, and I think three of us make a great team. We don't always agree, but we're balanced. We're a good solid team.
Isaiah?
Yeah, so I have two daughters that are a little bit older than both of you, but my oldest daughter was going into high school, and one thing she always wanted to do was go to a vocational school. But then we changed the vocational school, and it kind of got me worked up a little bit. So I didn't know all the facts, and I wanted to know the facts. And there's one thing that I've always taught my kids is don't complain about something without trying to do something about it. So that was me saying, okay, if I'm going to be unhappy about it, I'm going to go put myself out there and do something to try and become part of the solution. So now I sit up here today knowing a lot more facts, but being part of the solution in general. So that was the first thing that got me excited to become a selectman.
Yeah, and so for me, I went to Freetown Elementary School, and when I was your age and I was here, I lived in Assonet. And I used to be able to go down and go to an ice cream shop in town, go to a pizza place that has an arcade in it. There was a mini golf place. And there's all this cool, fun stuff to do in Assonet. And then I went, ended up going to high school, going to college. I moved to Boston for a couple of years. And when I came home, a lot of those cool things to do were gone. And so I was wondering, why are these things gone? And what can I do to try to bring these things back to town so that you guys have the same opportunity of getting ice cream after playing baseball at KRR, in Assonet that I did. And so that's why I got involved, is figure out why did these things go away and how do I get them back here? Thank you.
What process would we need to go through to get a disc golf course?
To get, sorry, what?
A disc golf course.
Okay, the question was, what process do we need to go through to get a disc golf course? Which I think was a great idea.
I agree.
That's a good question. I think, yeah. I don't know exactly the process.
I'll grab.
Yeah.
Mind if I answer? So a couple months ago, someone reached out to our town asking about a disc golf course because there was one that was just opening up in Swansea or Seacon, 18 holes. This individual was actually from Minnesota Bay Shores. So we reached out to our conservation department and land use department and asked them, hey, do we have any land that can be used by an organization for a disc golf course? Maybe 9 holes or 10.
Is that person named Adam Baker?
It could be. All right. Then we decided we needed X amount of land, right? From the 200 pieces of parcels we had, countless of acres of land, we needed X amount. So turns out to have a disc golf course, we need some land to be able to throw par 3, par 5. If you're that kind of golfer, you know you need some distance, right? So that's still in process. Right now, a lot of the conservation that we have has a lot of water on it, right? What's called wetlands. So it may look great as you're driving by, but when you actually get into the paperwork or looking at the land, some of the land's not really great use for that. So is it a no? No, I think we'd all agree this golf course, any sports for everybody would be fantastic. So it is being looked at. I know they were looking at different ball fields, but too short. So State Forest, we don't really own it, right? The state does. So there's discussions being had. It hasn't been forgotten about. And once some properties do open up, we'll revisit it and see if that's the right purpose for that property. So as you can see, it takes an idea, a question, and then research to make sure that idea and question can work. Now, what we discovered is right now it doesn't really work, but can it work in the future?
Yes.
Could, absolutely, yes, you're correct. So we're working on it, right? If it's a yes someday, I'll be one of the first people out there. It's a great question.
Thank you.
And that's, to Selectman Lopes' point, that's why we have many boards and committees, right? So we have people who look at this stuff because we say, okay, well, we got this big piece of land and that's more than enough space to put one on. But because of the fact that it's wetlands, we can't put anything on it. So we need the right piece of land and then be able to clear the trees and then places for you guys to park to do it. So there's a lot that goes into it.
And you get the money to do it. That's always a problem.
So yes, so if Selectman Lopes says they're looking into it, then that's the first steps. Hopefully it goes in the right direction.
Thank you.
Great question.
If you could make one change in the town, what would it be?
The question was, if you could make one change in the town, what would it be? Ooh, that's a
tough one.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
Prioritize everything.
Yeah.
If I could make one change in town, what would it be?
Wow, that's a hard question.
Maybe the original question to bring in the second.
Yeah. Mine's boring. So if I could, snap my fingers and I could build the infrastructure in our town so that we could have restaurants and bars, so that they would be able to come and have, places for people to go. That's what I would do. And it's a long road to get there, and it's a lot of money and a lot of hard work. So if I could snap my fingers, that'd be the change I would make, so that we can have pizza places and have things of that nature.
I do like pizza. So if I had my wish list, we have a lot of trees in town, right? I want them to go nowhere. But guess what trees do to power lines, especially during a storm? Who's lost power before? Right? So if I had any wish in the world, I would make all the power lines underground. So all we look at is beautiful trees, no power lines, and fresh energy for everybody. That'd be my wish.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a very good. I don't agree. I don't agree because like
So, if I had one wish, it would be. That's hard.
No school Fridays.
Yeah, a new library would be key. That's something, so I don't want to bore people, but I would say a new library council on aging building, something we're working on that I really want to see happen.
The question was, what were some challenges being a selectman?
Oh, that's a tough one too. Some of the challenges can be us. You know, some of the challenges can be the feedback we get. Our job is to make what's best for the town, and not everybody agrees with what we decide on, right? Our job, I think we all agree, we don't just look at today, we look at how it impacts tomorrow and the future of our town. We all agree, I believe, that our town is just fine the way it is, nice and small, and a place we call home. The challenges we have is how do we do that while we continue to grow into 2023, 24, and everything else. So when you guys are adults, you can look back and say, like Selectman Matthews said, he had a golf course, he had a pizza place. How do we get that for you guys? So that when you guys remember Freetown, Asona, East Freetown, you have those same memories as we have.
Yeah.
That's challenging.
So one of the challenging parts is managing my time, right? So I have, like I said before, all three of us, we have jobs that we go to during the day, and then we have another job, which is being a selectman in the afternoon. And sometimes it's hard to balance all those things and get everything done. So that's one of the challenges we face.
Hard hitter. You guys, a couple of good questions in a row. So one of the biggest challenges I find that and I keep going back to this, but it's how do we get the new things that everyone wants, right? Everyone wants a shiny new library, but guess what? Your parents don't want to pay for it. You know how I know that? Because I don't want to pay for it. So it's tough. It's hard to make those decisions. That's one of the biggest things. To make it happen in a timeline while you're still a kid and can actually enjoy the things that we're talking about. So that's a big challenge.
Thank you. The question was, will there be a new town hall in the future? So that's a great question, and if anyone's been in the town hall, it's a pretty old building. It's way older than all of us.
Put together.
Yeah. So that's it's something absolutely in the future, because it's getting so old that our hands will be forced. There will be a new town hall. How soon that happens is uncertain. Just like a library, and just like some of the other things we talked about, they're very expensive, and so it's hard. We have to convince the town to vote to allow us to build a new town hall. So yes, someday. I don't know how soon that will be.
So we talk about a lot of things, right? And we're talking about the town growing. And to Selectman Matthews' point, right now, if all our employees are parked there, we don't have enough parking spaces for them. So we've grown to bigger than that town hall can be. So we need to do something, but it's also a beautiful building, and a lot of people really like it. And then there's some people who don't like it. So we go back to that, what we were talking about, making hard decisions, right? No matter what decision we make, we're going to make some people unhappy. But I think, to Selectman Matthews' point, 100% in the future, we are going to need a new town.
Thank you.
Are you planning or looking into more fun activities for Freetown kids?
Yeah, the question was, are you looking to or planning new fun activities for Freetown kids?
All right, Vincenzo. Well, we are always looking at making sure that our children, right, have something to do, whether that's sports, whether that's the choir, whether it's something. So, are you talking about a fun zone? What exactly is your question? Building more parks, more playgrounds,
Entertainment system.
more entertainment systems, like a giant PlayStation for the town? Or are you talking about more like fixing up some of our basketball courts, more nighttime activities?
I mean, like a giant PlayStation.
Well, we'll do what we can for giant PlayStations. I'm not sure if it's in the budget this year, but we'll take a look at it and see future years. But it starts with your moms and dads and your grandparents will say yes first. So make sure you ask them that question when you get home.
Thank you.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you.
How did you feel when you got selected?
All right, the question was, how did you feel when you got voted in, right? When you got selected to be on the board of selectmen? You ready to start?
It was extremely rewarding because we put a lot at, when someone is running for a position, you work very hard to get your word out there, to get people to understand why they should vote for you, right? So, you know where I found out? In this very school.
Yeah.
They come out, we all voted, and then they post the results. So I was in the school, and I'm really good with numbers, but I added everything together, and I said, I think I won. I think I won. And I wrote it all down, and I went outside, and I re-added it together. So it was an extremely rewarding night, where I felt proud of all the hard work I put in to get my word out to people about why I was trying to run.
Yeah. So for me, I was very excited, and I was also very nervous. Right. This is a new job that I didn't know exactly, what I would be doing. But I think that it's feeling nervous is a good thing. That means you're challenging yourself, right? So I think I was both of those things, and now I've been here my second term, so I think it's doing something right. So yeah. So the first time was very excited and nervous, and the second time I was just very excited.
So, like my two selectmen here, we're here at the school. I remember like it was yesterday, and like our selectmen, I counted the numbers, and I turned around, I took a deep breath, because I knew I had won. Then they announced it, and I turned around, we congratulated each other, because it's always good to congratulate, win or lose, you say good job, good game, right? Like we've done for many years. Then I'll be honest with you, I was scared. I was scared that I won. Not because I was gonna get in trouble by my wife, even though that was a little bit. I was scared to make sure I didn't let anybody down. And today, that fear is still there, but that fear also drives me to make sure that I'm doing the right thing, not just for myself, the people that I know, but every single person that I don't see and I don't meet. So it's a little bit of both. You're happy, and now you have a great responsibility in front of you to make sure you're doing the best thing possible for the people around you, for your moms and dads, your grandparents, for your neighbors. So that's how I felt. Great job, Lando. Great question.
Yeah, great question. Thank you.
All right, Taco, what do you got?
How often does Long Pond water get tested?
The question was, how often does Long Pond water get tested? That's a good question. I think, Luna, do you know that one?
We do. We're only required to test the swimming beach. So when the season's open Memorial Day through Labor Day, you test it weekly, 1 week preceding when you open.
Okay. Good question. Luann's she's the one that does really all the hard work, by the way.
Yeah, she makes us look good.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes they send out notifications that you can't swim, because they test it and they say, nope, this isn't the way it's supposed to be, and then they stop it until it comes back to the levels it's supposed to be at.
Do you count the votes in an election?
The question was, do we count the votes for the election? And no, we do not. There's machines that count all the votes up for us. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Yep. So it's all. We wouldn't be trusted to count our own votes. So no.
There is a whole election department that's in charge of it. So the town clerk is in charge of elections, and then there's people who work with her.
Great question.
Are there plans to make a dog park in the summer?
Great question. So yeah, is there plans to make a dog park in Asona? I really want a dog park. I have a dog myself, and obviously all three of us have dogs. For sure.
Jim and I would love a dog park, but there's things to consider, right? We do have a long pond, right? We have what a lot of us get our water from, probably from wells, right? So there's so we work with the animal control officer to make sure that any decisions like a dog park, we make sure there's a lot of meetings involved. Is there one planned right now? No. Is it a no in the future? I don't think so. There's no yes either right now. There's something we have to discuss more, because we do have a lot of wells, right? A lot of aquifers where we get our water from. And what happens when you don't pick up after your dog? It kind of decays, right? Like a leaf breaking down. Well, guess what? It keeps decaying and decaying and decaying. Eventually, when the dog goes to the bathroom and you don't pick it up, it goes into your groundwater. You don't want to drink that, right?
No.
So we talked today a lot about balance, and that's one of them. Do we want one? Yeah, we all have dogs. Jim and I would love to have a dog park and chase some furry friends around. But we have to make sure that we don't contaminate any groundwater as well. So it's a big decision.
And our biggest problem is space, right? We just had that great question about disc golf, and what did we talk about? Having the space to do it. So, we don't want to make a little dog park that you can only have 2 dogs in. You need to be able to have enough space. So that's something else that we need to be able to do or come up with, all while still having baseball fields and soccer fields and everything else that all you guys enjoy having. So it's going to be something that people will probably continue to ask for, and hopefully we can come up with a solution.
Yeah. And so I'm on a committee. It's called the Master Plan Committee, and we're trying to figure out the future for the town and what it looks like. And one of the things I'm going to bring up, though, is having a dog park. I think that would be an awesome thing to have in town. Thank you.
We have time for one more question.
Okay.
All the pressure's on you. Save the best for last.
You got it.
Yes.
What are you most proud of?
Yeah. So that's a good question. What am I most proud of? That's a big one. I mean, for me personally, I'm most proud that I got reelected. Right? That means that I did something right for the first 3 years. That I got reelected, and no one actually ran against me, which made getting reelected very easy. But I feel like if I would have, made a lot of people upset with the decisions, that a lot of people would have came out and ran against me. So I think for me, that's one thing I'm proud of.
One of the things that I'm proud of, and I talked about earlier, being kind of afraid being a selectman, is because I'm pretty busy. I have 4 boys, a family, right? I have a full-time job. I coach, I don't know how many of your teams, right? From soccer to baseball. And I wanted to make sure that my time was spent, and I didn't take time away from my family, right? Because they're the most important thing in the world to me, and you guys are close second, right? So what I'm most proud of is that so far I've been able to maintain my daily life. Sure, I'm busier. I have less time to breathe. But I'm proud that I'm still able to come to your schools, still be able to coach. I'm proud that I'm still myself. I haven't changed yet. I don't plan on it. But you guys encourage me, and I'm proud of the support I get from you and your parents and everybody else to continue doing the right thing. And that's what I'm proud of. I'm proud of the town. That's the answer. You guys are awesome.
So there is a lot of things that I'm proud of. You know, when someone comes up to me and says, "Hey, you guys did a good job with pick something," that makes me feel very proud. Something else I'm proud of, on a personal note, is being up here talking to all of you. I've never been a public speaker. I always tend to get nervous with people when people are asking questions, especially if I don't know the question that's about to come up, or if someone's upset. I've had a hard time with that. And the more I do it, the better I'm getting at it. I'm not nervous sitting up here answering your questions today like I would have been a few years ago. So I'm proud of myself for putting myself out there and doing something that made me feel uncomfortable.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, that was awesome, everybody. I think that's our last question. I think everyone should give themselves a round of applause.